Hey
Hello,
Rajni.
everyone. Welcome, Balaji.
Hey Rajni.
All right,
I'm great.
we have a very very interesting episode for you guys today. We have a lot of hot topics and we have a hot takes on those. So I want to go through that, and I think like every episode, there's so much happens in 2 weeks in the AI space. So let's get all caught up. So let's start with our first topic, which is I think Sam Alton had presented this in the open AI plans. There's a couple of things that stood out for me, so I want to talk about it and get your um, feedback on it. So I think we all know this. When we saw Nvidia's, I think they hit $1 trillion market cap. So there's
Milestone,
a
yeah.
lot of yeah, there's so much demand for GPU right now, and we can't keep up with the amount of demand that's needed for all of these AI companies and what we are doing. So there is a shortage, right? So that's why he was referring is OpenAI is heavily GPU limited at this point. At present, I don't know when things are going to get better because of the demand. It might be a while. So I think the rate of pace for some of these companies are going to slow down. And cost of using maybe some of these common things might go up. So that was one thing he highlighted. And then the next thing, I think we've talked about plugins for a while, and there's a lot of plugins available on OpenAI. I know Microsoft has its own set of plugins, but my understanding of that, right, it's great, but it still doesn't have a product market fit. What I mean by that is it's still beta share. There's not been any killer application that people have been able to develop on it. So it's still because people are expecting the same sort of response time that they do with ChatGPT, when you get plugins in the way, it just doesn't respond like that. So there's not been a lot of adoption. And the last one he talked about was stateful API. I think he talked about a bunch of things. These are the ones that were relevant to me or made interesting. It's just being able to hold a conversation history. And I think some of that we can talk about in our AI companion. Being able to hold a conversation history means you remember the thing the first time you talked about, and that thing will lead to some amazing applications. So those are the top three takeaways for me doing it from the conversation. Do you have anything, any thoughts on that? Apology.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I would like to add. I think the you mentioned the GPU being the limiting factor. I think it's a good thing because I think much of the work right now is done. The larger, the better, or more data points, the better way. The fact that GPU now has become a limiting factor, I think, is going to lead to much more innovation. There's already data engineering taking place. How can we reduce this size of this, or how do we represent the information in the neural network in a much better way, because someone mentioned that much of the data which is represented as weights is all zeros, and they still need that for matrix multiplication. So there's a lot of things to consider now. I think it's a good opportunity for the people to take a look at this and say, hey, how can we optimize it so we can work with nothing is infinite, right? So we have to start working with what we have and how to make it better. So I think it's a good thing.
I mean, that's a great point, right? At the end of the day, when you limit the resources, then I think your creativity gets more, right? Like just like you
Correct.
give startup companies unlimited funding, they're going to really not use the most efficient way. So having a limit or some kind of limit on what is accessible, I think to your point, smaller models that can be run on your phones, all that is going to become more of a reality. I agree. So that I think it's going to be a good thing to your point. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. All right. The next topic is there's always a new LLM dropping, but this one is interesting to me, right? Because it's already made it to the top of the leaderboard. You can talk about it a little bit, but I think they also, the Falcon LLM is the one I'm referring to. They also
Right.
dropped their 10% loyalty for any, it's just made it free for commercial use. So why is it important? Because open models are given open AI and other proprietary models to run for their money. I know Meta made Llama available. That was the top of the leaderboard. Now, in the last couple of weeks, it looks like Falcon is overtaking it. All I'm saying is the more options we have as entrepreneurs and developers, the better it's going to be. So I'll hand it up to you. I know there's a lot of technical stuff behind it. So let me know your thoughts about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. I caught this on a Twitter feed, and I started digging further, like what's unique or what's different. This is from the Technology Innovation Institute from UAE. They have released a 40 billion parameter model, a 7 billion, and even a smaller one below that. Roughly the size of these model files. I downloaded the 40 billion one to try it out. I couldn't run it on my own PC. It threw up a whole bunch of errors, and people are complaining about it. But so the I think it's about 80 to 90 GB model files, right? The 7 billion model file is about 15 GB size of download, and I think the one below is less than probably a gig or close to a gig. Um, so why is this important, right? The size of these model files are really going to dictate where it can run and what kind of compute and GPU it needs and all that good stuff. Um, it claims the website again. They haven't released white papers yet. It says it's on the work, but it claims 75%. It uses only 75% of GPT's three's compute power, 40% of Chinchilla model, and 80% of Palm 62B billion things. So I think they're claiming efficiencies all over the place here, and also it's Apache 2 commercial license, like you mentioned before. um, the funny fact I found digging into what training sets they use something called Bayes, open source, and it basically has 100K chat GPT talking to itself data points. So again, there are a lot of shortcuts used to speed things up nowadays, right? I think that's what I'm talking about. There's a lot of engineering aspects of how can I make this go faster? How can I make it efficient type of thing going on here.
So basically, they used a conversation ChatGPT was having with itself as a feed into their model. So yes, it
Right. So they
requires them
kind
to
of
kind of build
easiest way
that.
to borrow. Yeah, easiest way to borrow from other big tech response lists, right? So very interesting.
It is, and I think it's gonna keep going. I think that's where the models are all becoming a commodity at the end of the day, right? So the data that you can supply to and the applications you're gonna build on top is really what's gonna differentiate it. So this is going the direction we thought, but it just the smaller these models become, the better for us to be able to build. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I
All
think
right, moving.
it's going the same way as the stable diffusion models, and yeah, we have seen one cycle happen on the visual side. Now it's happening on this text conversational LLMs and stuff like that. So, all right, next topic.
Okay, all right. Next topic. Okay, we all knew this was coming, right? People are so enamored with the chat gpt and the answers it gives. Sometimes they don't even double check what if it's reality or is actually true. A lawyer in New York got into trouble using chat gpt for legal research because
Right.
he it made up some made up legal cases, and he confessed he didn't really validate that it could be false. So, so he got in trouble. Basically, we have to now. I mean, just I shouldn't make fun of this situation, but really, a lot of people are becoming so enamored with oh, the answer's so good that they don't really understand. Sometimes it's hallucinating, just making up stuff straight up, right? So, if you are going to use it, it'll be a great research point, but you absolutely have to validate it. It's not perfect, and it should not be fully relied upon as a source of knowledge. So, uh,
But
your thoughts?
that's a tricky problem when you talk about the lawyers and legal system, right? The whole reason it's a chicken and egg problem, right? The whole reason I use this is because I don't want to double check all this stuff, right? If I have to, then I have to go sit and read all these documents to figure this out. But then it comes up with not so true facts, and it's I see where the problem is. So hopefully they're working on trying to solve some of this, how to get the more truthful information out of the system.
So I think that's where the specialization will come into play, right? So what I mean by that, there is another company I can't remember the top of my head, but they are basically creating a LLM for legal, right? So what I mean is, what's going in is not just again, I don't know if that stops them from hallucinating, but at least their data set is only legal cases that's happened, let's say the United States, whatever the local thing is. So I'm hoping that lowers it a little bit more than ChatGPT, which is like taking over everything internet, right? So I'm hoping when we
Right.
do that, and I know Bloomberg is doing something for finance, everybody's doing some verticals, and I think that's where we really are going to be able to rely on some of the answers
Yeah.
back.
I'm curious as well how to set guardrails for the training, right? I think one aspect of it probably is going to be how stricter are the guardrails, right? You can't just start mixing up things and coming up with facts, right? So I think, yeah, I think that's yeah, I'm going to look into that as well. Cool. Thanks for bringing that up.
All right. Are we ready for the next one?
All right, let's go with the next one.
Perfect. All right. This one is a little bit more, I don't know if it's controversial. When I read it, it shocked me a little bit. So I wanted us to kind of discuss this. So we've talked about our jobs are all going to be taken by AI, right? But when you kind of deep dive, and I think the company that did was Revelio Labs, if I'm saying it right, they did some research on it. So there is going to be a disproportionate replacement of jobs, especially, I didn't even know this term existed, pink collar job, but basically more women oriented job. I think the numbers were like 8 out of 10 tasks can be replaced, and men were 6 out of 10. So it's placed more into the societal division of labor because a lot of women are in the administrative work and secretaries and all that. So just like travel agents, I'm going to assume a disproportionate part of travel agents were women. I mean, the last technologies revolution came through, a lot of them were replaced with software. So I think the same thing is happening. Is the research? It makes sense when you break it down that way. That a lot of women jobs that are right now being performed by women is going to be replaced by some of the automation and AI technology. So I just thought that was interesting, and how I didn't even think of slicing it this way. So not saying they, so the people in these roles should be aware of it and maybe make some changes or learn about how to use some of these technologies so they don't get replaced, right? So that's really the takeaway for me. Any thoughts for you about that?
Yeah, I mean, when you're saying it's gonna what if you're starting to slice it by uh, uh, age or sex or even ethnicity plays, I think there's going to be jobs that are displaced specific to certain ethnicities, right? So this is it's going to become a big topic eventually, right? Because I think the objective of this is to take away all the inefficiencies in the current business processes and and does it cluster around certain types of people, certain genders. I mean, this is going to be. I believe you're right. It's going to be an ongoing topic. It's not going to be limited to just women. Probably it's ethnicity. It's going to be some age groups, some demographics in certain cities. Who knows, right? It's because they're all going to. They tend to concentrate on certain type of education background as well. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think the service industry will be much different in the next 20 years. I think we've talked about it. We'll continue to talk about how customer service is going to change. Just how even training is going to change. How is a lot of human interaction when it comes to service industry, I think
Right,
is going to change wherever it's
right,
possible, right? And
right,
there's labor shortage. It's causing it, especially in the United States, and it's going to. We need some way to improve efficiency to even come out of our big debt burden we are under. And every time we've been there, it has been
right.
like a complete new wave or efficiency improvements that help us get out of it. So we desperately need this to happen. So let's see. Again, we're going to be keeping a close eye on it for the next few years. So it's going to be interesting how it all plays out.
Absolutely. Let's go to the next topic.
All right. Hey, my favorite topic. Okay, I have to. The reason I'm saying it's my favorite topic, right, is because the more I research it, the more I'm convinced that since COVID, there's been what I'll call it as a pandemic of loneliness, right? Where I'm
Right,
going with this is I know if you always look at Japan for some of the what I'll consider is whatever happened in Japan kind of happens in the rest of the world in a different time because they were the first society that actually had lesser birth rates than us, so they have more older population than younger population. The younger people are not getting married as much, so it's a societal thing. Yes, it's different, but if you kind of retrace back to where we are in the U.S., we go down the same path. We are definitely have lesser kids being born, the same marriages, and then same marriages going down. All I'm saying is, if you look at those patterns, right, what I'm seeing is even in India, there's a lot of because of the way we had a disproportionate number of men versus women,
Right.
children. Now there are more men who are struggling to find women. The same thing happens in China too. So the bottom line is, it has become very clear that there is a big disconnect and a loneliness pandemic. That's what I'm calling it, right? So to bridge that gap, I know companies like Replica has built a virtual girlfriend. There are other companies like Hyper Online, Waifu, where we can actually create your own companion, whether it's motivation or fun, just to have a one-on-one conversation. It just makes sense, right? I know in Japan the people who are applying for licenses to get married to the avatars. Maybe that's on one extreme, but I
Right.
absolutely think just being able to have a one-on-one conversation, because personally, I love to talk, right? I love having somebody who's a great listener, who listens and interacts, right? I think that's almost a human need to be able to get interaction. If you had a companion who understands you, never complains, always supportive, it just sounds perfect to me, right? So I think this is going to become a reality, and the more realistic these conversations happen, the more realistic the facial features happen. What if you can mimic an avatar to be like your
Right.
ex-girlfriend, your dead wife, your dead husband? I just think this the whole thing is limitless and what is going to happen, and then you can build on that. If you can build an amazing customer service apart from these interactions and learning, so I'm excited about this space. I can't wait to dive further. I took a lot of the time, so you tell me what you think.
No, I totally agree. I was about to bring up the India. I think yes, I though it's prominent, the pandemic loneliness or whatever the trend is, but I think it's been there in other parts of the world even before pandemic, like in India, right? The disproportionate sex ratio and all kind of other things leading to loneliness or unable to find a partner. These kind of problems are plaguing the societies, right? So yes, there's definitely a need for something like this, and I think it has greater potential. Just AI girlfriend, if you term it as AI avatars that take up the role of a girlfriend or a therapist or a bot or whatever these things, this can manifest in many different ways. I think they all have valid use cases.
Yeah, I think one thing I want to bring up is also Replica did an update. So when a Replica did an update, let's say I've been talking to this friend for a year or two, so you know the cadence, the way the words they use. When the update happened, new words were being used, the personality changed. People were upset. I think people are still upset about it, right? So if you bring in
Interesting.
something like this, and then the relationship starts, and then let's say you're replacing the back end language model with the latest Chat GPT 9, right? It's not going to go well, right? So there has to be a fine way to balance this change in technology versus the personality of the person you have a relationship with. So I'm curious to see if it's a customer service interaction is a lot different, but you're thinking about long term conversation with a buddy, then you want to make sure it doesn't change too much, right? So it's going to be
The
interesting how this plays
personality,
out.
yeah, they're like maybe the one you talked about earlier, the stateful AI or AI that has some kind of stability or less changing parts, right? If you just change too much, then people realize it's a whole different character or personality, right? So interesting.
So yes, we're gonna continue to bring some more updates on this because it's something that is close to my heart. So we'll definitely talk through that. But I think that brings us to the end of our rapid fire or almost rapid fire conversation. But we will. I know Balaji, you had something to. You've been playing around with the Falcon. I've never even seen it, so I'd love to see what you have to share about what you've done with Falcon.
Nothing much. I just repurposed the previous set of tools that I was using for chatbots. So I was testing out the Falcon 7B because this runs on my gaming desktop GPU. Um, uh, so I just gave it a task right here. I said you can simulate conversations between celebrities and to see the quality of the conversations. Is it as good as they claim to be? So I said, yeah, just simulate a conversation between Oprah and Deepak Chopra, right? See what kind of granted they have been in the public, and I was hoping it would find some material, because it's taken the internet to come up with this data. So and it did come up with a decent conversation, as you can see. And to your point about the lawyer, right? So now this one is talking about a new book that Deepak is going to release, The Leela of Your Life. These are all made up. I don't think that the book exists, but to be fair, I asked it to simulate. So, but I think it's a decent conversation. I think I would grade it as good as any other conversations I've had debate bots generate before. So that's basically the little project that I was trying to see. Hey, how good is this conversation style? And it seems pretty good. And sometimes it even comes up. Again, this is based on the 7B instruct model set. So let's look at. So from the Hugging Face, they have released 3 different model sets here. The 40 billion, of course, this is the biggest one, which I was not able to try out because of errors. The 7 billion, this one has a token limit of 2K size. And then even the smaller one, the refined web, I think is even more smaller. So I took the middle one, which is this one, to test it out. It's trained on Bayes, GPT for All, and GPT Teacher. And Bayes is the one that I was talking about before, right? So it uses 100K dialogues generated by letting ChatGPT itself. So that's the model that's used partly. And yeah, I like it. I think the fact that I'm able to run it on my local PC without any dependency on anything else is awesome. And it comes up with a fairly decent conversational style. And sometimes it has some expressions
So
too.
is
I've
it
seen it.
fast?
Yeah.
Is it fast like ChatGPT? It looks like the content is good, but how is the speed? Since you're running
Okay.
local, I'm assuming it's
So
not pretty fast.
right. So this one I gave it. Let's see. I gave it 1,000 length, right? So maybe we can. Most of the other ones I gave it 200 length. So you can submit it again. I think it took 40 seconds on my GPU running full throttle, right? So let's see. So you can see.
Expecting about 42 seconds. Okay.
Right. It's taking everything on the GPU side, 89, 90%. Again, it's probably not the best available GPU, right? It's a gaming desktop. It's 30. I think I have the 3060 RTX or 3090. But if you go to the cloud, I'm pretty sure this is going to be way faster, right? There are other GPUs that are able to. But let's see, maybe similar 40-second time frame. And again, remember, this is coming up with a whole set of conversations to complete. Most of the other tests we have done is just get one response back. So I gave
this is coming up with a full conversation. Okay.
Right. So that's another difference here, right? And I haven't played with it. Based on the example they gave us, I think it's coming up with the whole conversation. But if I were to ask it to do just a response, I'm pretty sure it's going to be faster. So it's almost a minute to come up with this. This is a big conversation here, right? It's a lot of information here. Most of the time, I just say, Oprah said this, tell me what Deepak says, and then we go one at a time, divide the time, right? So it looks faster. But I think it's definitely comparable. We can run a test on a cloud GPU to see the difference as well. It appears to be living up to the expectation so far, at least for me.
That is very cool. Okay, I mean, I'm glad you have the GPU to test it. So this is awesome. I would love to, see. So do they have any place where you can test it online? I'm assuming in the next few days we'll get a spot to do it.
I think the Hugging Face, it depends. I think people create these. I don't know whether they have published any Google Colab and other things. We have to look around. I'm pretty sure we can find some to test it online.
Perfect. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Thank you for that. That was an interesting, just again, cutting edge as you can get, because I think we got access to it like 2 days ago, or that's when we downloaded it. So there's always new things happening in this space. Stay tuned. We'll bring more the next time we meet. Just continue to, if you have any ideas that you want us to explore further, we have a resident CTO in the house, so you can help us, build models and MVP, all of it. So let us know in the comments.
Absolutely.
So I'm
Anytime.
looking forward to further discovery with you, Balaji. So yeah,
Likewise, yeah, I think week after week, I don't know how you do this, Raj. You come up with interesting topics. It's fun experiment. From the audience side, I think, yes, if you guys can tell us what else you would like to see, that'll be a great addition. Thank you.
awesome. All right, have a great week, Balaji. See you guys next time.
All right, later.